Well, welcome back to the channel after another week. Guess what? We're still looking at the A4T. I did a little bit of work this week on this, not a lot, but some, and I went to Napa and got some hoses and spent a lot of money at Napa this week because between hoses, constant tension clamps, and today was the kicker in the butt of U302 batteries that I don't have cores for because this tractor didn't come with cores. It's been I spent some money. So the what I did get done, move the ladder out of the way, is I got this line that goes to the oil cooler. I got the hose on there, got that down. Oliver filmed me this hydraulic hose, which goes to the other part of the oil cooler and then goes down into the pump, the power steering pump. That's what I meant to say. And then last night I came out and I got that little piece of hose on there with the constant tension clamps. And that metal line goes up, comes across, goes to here, and oops, that's not on there very far. You can see that bulge. I swear I hate working with hydraulic hose. My fingers cut from one little shard of metal on that end. It's so hard to get on there and so hard to work with. I hate it. There's grease on there to help it slide. I'm gonna get out the heat gun in a little bit, heat that hose up and see if it can help me get it on there. But holy crap, I hate messing with that. So what I'm going to try to accomplish is get that hose the rest of the way on. That hose goes to, climb up here, goes to the top of the tank there. Oh yeah, I did get the new filter in the tank. So the new filter's in the tank. Then this kind of goes underneath there and it goes and connects over there, but I got to get it on here first. So, and I've got my clamps already on there so I don't forget, so I don't then say words that are not YouTube friendly. If I got that hose all the way on there and then forgot to put clamps on. And those are the constant tension clamps that I'm buying that are relatively expensive. And then I will work on getting that line on, and I will work on getting, it's kind of down here, but this goes to a metal line. This goes up to the inside here. That one I just showed you on the floor goes here, goes back, comes out. That goes to the metal line that goes into the pump that I'd gotten from Joe Pro, which is over here. And then this other one I'll pull up to put up there, put a new piece of line on it. I will pull this hose off it and put my new hose on, and that goes basically my supply to right there to the power steering pump. That's the supply line. So that's what I'm going to try to get done at least, and then if I get all that done in good time, I'm gonna work on some wiring on this, and I might mix into, I bought a new little pea shooter for the residents. Tomorrow I need to go sight that in, so I might go do that, take a little bit of time out of tomorrow, not supposed to rain, and go get that sighted in, because it's not good to have a pea shooter that you can't hit anything with. So but yeah, that's where we're at. This is coming together. I will work on, like I said, some wiring, maybe get rid of some of the crappy wiring on this, and just try to get this a lot closer to being ready. Talk to Phil. Phil is burning the candle at both ends. He kind of always is, but it's pretty bad right now. So I'm not expecting to see the hydraulic line pump any of that this weekend. But I'll get everything pretty well prepped so that when that does show up, then it's just a few small things, and then hopefully we can start this thing up. That's the plan. Oh, and I did, hang on, I'm going to pause this for a second. I didn't want you to watch me walk all the way around the truck just to get over here. So I did wait for a couple days and I put my fluid in here. It's holding the fluid good. What's more is I don't have a puddle of fluid on the floor underneath it. I have a couple drips there, but I think that is from, it's not what I did. I think that's from when I took everything apart. But so far so good. So we will probably start the 302 propane this weekend, and I'll at least move the front tires back and forth and see that all that is where it needs to be, and that's not leaking, and that'll make me super duper happy, because as you can see how that box is just soaked. I mean, this thing was leaking fluid all the time. So, and I almost forgot, I did put oil in the A4T this week, but put 1540 in there, and so I got oil back in it. So we're making progress. All right, heated it up, got it to slip on because I could rotate it around. This side wasn't quite so easy, but I got it over the hump and got my clamp, constant tension clamp on it. So that's good. Now what I can do, because I had to wait till I got that done, so I got this plate that goes back behind the engine that I can put on now, and it just takes a couple bolts. It's kind of tight when you do this. I don't know if I can set you guys up to watch this. Oh, there you go. This is bouncing you around a little. Okay. So, sorry about that. Get myself set so I don't fall, which I almost fell. Putting that hose on. Bring this across. And there's 2 bolts that go in down there that I have to kind of reach in, and it's going to be tight on both sides. Getting in your light, but see right down there is a hole, and over here there's a hole. This side there's a whole bunch of lines. Crap, I might have to take a line off to be able to get my hand in there. When I'm at the line, I'm gonna have to, what I'm talking about is this line here that comes down. It's just a breather line, but where I got to get the bolt is down in there, if you can see it, and that's going to keep me from getting my hand around there to get this bolt started. So I'm going to have to take that off, and so that's a 9/16 and a screw up here. I had stuff up here to take that off with, but I think I took the screwdriver down. So I'll go get that, take that line off, then we'll get this plate on. No big deal. All right, I got them both started, and this side was easy, which would be the battery tray side. The other side I actually had to put the bolt in the end of the socket here, use the extensions to get it down in there, because my big hand wouldn't fit in there. But I'm just going to tighten it down now, and then we'll put the top piece on, and at least we'll have that much done. So I don't think you need to watch me tighten 2 bolts, but I'll bring you back when I've got this back together. All right, it's tightened up down there. I've got my breather hose back on. I need to bring the top part over here and put it on. I'll do that here in a little bit, and yeah, I don't want to do that now or in a little bit. We'll do it sooner than later, I guess. So let me go get the stuff for that, and we'll quick put that on. You'll see that grabs, there's a piece of the hood that sits back here that covers this part, grabs that. This here, down here grabs, there's side panels that go in here, these hoses tuck in, and yeah, it's basically everything gets tucked in behind those side panels. So actually I might have to reroute my throttle line. There's a hole that might be for the return line. I'll get that figured out, but it shouldn't be any big deal, because this will fit between the side piece that fits on there and I think the other one does go through this plate, but I think there's more holes. So, just talking to myself kind of and letting you know. All right, got the top piece on up here. I've got those on. I started the bolts. Have to go around because you got to kind of reach in underneath to get those started. It's very close back here. There's not a lot of room to work. So all I got to do is tighten those down. But you can see how this piece is threaded for the sheet metal when it goes on finally, which will be a good day when we get to that point. But we're not there yet. So I'm going to tighten those down, and then we're going to keep on keeping on with the hoses. Just sitting here looking at the throttle cable, and I've decided that it can't go on the outside of this because it's, it'll get pinched in there. So I was just looking at this, but I don't know how all this comes apart. I'm going to have to look in the parts book because most of this is not going to fit through that tiny little hole back there. So I got a choice to make. See if this comes apart up here. If it doesn't, make that hole bigger, or notch out right here enough to let that line come through, which is probably the easiest thing to do, is to let that, notch that out. So the line comes through between that steel line and that plate, and then come on up here. So we'll see how this goes. I'll look at the parts book tonight. All right, so I pulled the metal line that goes from the hooks up to this port on the tank, and it goes down through and then feeds the power steering pump. Pulled that off, pulled this old hose off. I would like to show you that this hose that is collapsing is not probably rated for hydraulic fluid. But anyway, it must have worked. But anyway, cleaned out this. It had been exposed to the elements, so there was some rust inside. I used a variety of instruments to get down in there to scrape all that out, flushed it out with water a couple times from the hydrant. Because this is interesting, I thought they had cut this off and this was straight on the end, but it's not. The other one, I'm going to have to put that here. The other one came down and went across and then went back to feed the pump. So I thought that they had gotten tired of that and they had done this differently. They customized this, but they haven't. They must have changed this at some point, and it's just more of a straight pipe than that big curved pipe. So I had to cut down, unfortunately, hydraulic hose that I got, the proper hydraulic hose. So I just wasted a foot, that's money down the drain. I'll use it for something else. But anyway, so then I will get that. But I'm going to probably be done for tonight, because I'm going to have to heat that up to get it on this end, and then I'm going to have to heat it up to get it on the other end. I'll shove that up through, and then I'll use, already got a piece cut to go up here. I'll get that on. I might have to heat that a little bit to get it on. I'm using a little bit of different hose up here because I have tried to fight these short lengths of very hard hose before, and it doesn't work. So I've got some fuel, diesel, gas rated hose that's for like the fill of your fuel tank on your truck. So it's thinner, and I'm going to use that for those short sections because the metal comes and almost touches in the middle, and then it clamps. And these are suction, so they're not a lot of pressure on those. And we'll see how they hold up, but it's a lot better than fighting those. If you've done it, you've done it. You know. If you haven't, take my word for it. So, all right. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. We'll come out tomorrow and get a bunch more of this together, hopefully. All right. It's Saturday. It's midday. Went and took the new Peter shooter to the range, sighted it in. I was pretty happy with it. So I wanted to show you, I talked about that hydraulic line being different, that metal line. So here's the one on this one. It comes through, comes down, comes across, bends, and this one's actually got a fitting on it where it screws into, I think it's a JIC fitting, which then goes and feeds the pump. The one that I'm currently working on is has an elbow that comes off and comes out this way. It's got, so you just clamp that. So you can see that that's quite a bit different than what I'm working with, but I just wanted to show the differences there. All right, so I just walked back in the shop here, but here's the line that's on this one, so completely different. Again, maybe they upgraded that, maybe they realized that other design wasn't good, I'm not sure. So let me get back to work putting these together. First things I got to do is I got to heat this hose and get it on the end down there. Once I have that on, then I'll shove up this end up through. I'll get this end on the tank, I think, and then bring this into that. It's just, none of this is easy because you have to kind of plan it out, because these short pieces, especially when this comes up, there's not a lot of room to work here, so you got to kind of get it in and pull it, and that's why you can't use this hose there, because it's so stiff. Well, you can do it. I'm not gonna. I've done it. I did it on the other one. It wasn't fun. All right, so let me prep and get things ready to go here. All right, I didn't show what I just did, but used the heat gun. Had to warm up that hose up there in order to get that to go in easy, but that's not the hard part. The hard part is down here, is getting it on there, but I got it on there all right. And then had to heat it again down here where it goes on to the elbow that comes out of the pump. So put 2 clamps down here because this didn't have really a raised edge on it, and I just want to make sure that that seals good. And then I put a piece of rubber up there where it comes through. Put a clamp on this side because there's no room on the top. I'll show you why. Because up here you have a strap that goes around it that goes to the bracket where this support comes down. I forgot about that, and lucky Brent gave me that in the parts that I got from him. So I clamped that down and I put that, but see, there's really no room for a clamp on the top side, but I wanted rubber in between that metal line and this, because on my other one, if you remember, we had to braze on that. So I got rubber there, I got rubber there, got a clamp on this side of that hose coming up, and that is all the way in. So pretty happy that okay, that line's in. So now I need to do 2 lines. This is like a return line, or I don't know what it is. There's metal that kind of goes behind here, and then this goes up and attaches to the bottom of the tank there. And after I get that one in, then the next one I have to do is this metal line here, which goes from here. The metal goes behind this, comes out, and that connects into that S-shaped pipe that comes out of the pump, which we won't put on until later. But I'd like to get a lot of this stuff prepped right now. So what I'm going to do next is work on those, and it's really boring work. I'm not going to bore you guys and burn up your time watching me just heat up hoses and put them on and clamp them down, but I'll show you when I'm done, and I hope that my description of all this would help anybody if they're doing this. I'm not really doing any magic. Heat gun to force the rubber on, and clamps, and that's about it. It's not real hard. I guess not rocket science. Messing with hydraulic lines sucks. All right, so did a little more work. I got that metal line going there. This is loose on this end because I'm going to have to clock that line at some point. I did also get the smaller metal line. I got the rubber hose on there. They both come out up here. The smaller line will be on top. Bigger line here. I ran into a problem there. You can see where it's hitting. This was there, and I'm like, huh. I was trying to remember what that was for. So on a 1355, I believe that would be the sensor for when your air filter was full. So I think I can take that off and I can cap that. And then eventually, and I tried to line up to see how these are gonna go. And it's gonna be interesting, to say the least, to get these lined up. I'm showing you my hand, that's not real great. Get these lined up when the pump's back in there, but right now I just have it mocked up. Obviously, no pump. So we can deal with that later. So I think right now I am as far as I can get on these hoses. Until I get the pump back and get a few more. Basically it'll be the pump, it'll be the line that goes back to feed that metal line. Be putting a piece in there to come up, putting a piece to bridge those two, and then there's that small metal line that'll come up that'll put a piece in to bridge it to this. And then I think I will have a complete hydraulic system. So I think now I'm going to notch back there on that plate to get the throttle cable through, then get the throttle cable hooked back up. Another thing I need to do is I need to redo my wiring up here, so I might do that tomorrow actually. And then maybe after I get the throttle cable done, we'll do something fun like start the propane 302 and see if it actually steers. We'll see. Well, after a little handiwork with the cordless Milwaukee, I notched that out and get up here without breaking a leg. You can see there, that was just a whole little hole before, and now I can run the cable right through there. And it comes up and connects, so that'll be good. And if I want to run my return line back through there or my fuel line, it will be easy to fish through that hole. Probably my fuel line will go through there also. So that's good. So little by little, the cable is going to need a little adjustment because it's not wanting to stay put, but I will mess with that later. So yeah, I'm going to go over and clean up things around the 302 and let's fire it up and see what it does. All right, turned on the vapor, came over here and primed the regulator. Moved everything out of the way except there's a jug down there that's got some more ATF in it if I need to add. And move my hoods off to the side. I didn't put the muffler on because if everything looks good, I'd like to put everything back together, and if the muffler gets hot, then I gotta wait a while. So we're gonna just listen to a loud, unmuffled 302 for a minute. Feel like I have any power steering right now. Probably got air in there. I'll set you guys up over there on the bedroom. definitely sucked down that fluid. And now I just got to work it back and forth to work the air out of it. You can see the fluid. You can tell it had a lot of bubbles in it. Good now. Yep, she runs nice, this propane does. All right, I do not have a puddle of fluid on the floor, which I'm always going to be happy about. And other than some cavitation in there, you see the fluid. Yeah, I'm all right with that. So reach down here and get the cap and find a towel, because don't trip over the bucket that's on the floor. I don't see anything leaking, and underneath looks good. So I'm gonna call that a win. I'm going to go ahead and put the hoods back on this and the muffler, and then I'm doing some thinking on planning here. I need to talk to Oliver Phil, and I need to talk to Joe Pro about getting some things lined up coming up here. So while I put these hoods on, I'll make a couple calls, and then I'll come back. I might be able to share with you what the plan's going to be. All right, hoods are back on. I talked to Joe Pro, couldn't get a hold of Oliver Phil, but I think I know what the answer was going to be, the question I was going to ask him. So Joe Pro is going to help me put the low and the 3-speed on the 950 in. It just so happens that next weekend looks favorable for doing that. Plus I need to work on hydraulic leaks on that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some tractor shuffling here. So I'm going to move 302 propane over to neighbor John's, bring the propane 950 over, but the 955's in front of the 950, so hopefully everything starts. And then once I get all that figured out, then I'll move these out, bring the 950 in, put the jet back in here, and then we will I'll have it over here. I think I'm going to pull it in when I bring it in, because the plate for the 3-speed's on this side. So if I put it back in here where the propane is, it's kind of out of the way, and I can leave the jet where it is, and then everything else, because I don't think Phil's going to have my pump done next week, and that was the question I was going to ask him. If he does, great, but if he doesn't, then we can work on that. That might take a little pressure off him, because he is one busy man. So if I can work on other stuff until he gets that done, that works too. So I'm going to run next door and see if I can get some tractors running.